So welcome everyone to our Future of Transfer and Transition Summit. This is our first session of the afternoon, and I'm very proud and pleased to introduce ACC's own Transfer Resources Department. This is to provide institutional context for our work on transfer at the college. I'm going to introduce Renee Esparza, who is our Transfer Resources Director. She has been at ACC in a variety of jobs for, I think, about 15, 16 years. And she served on a lot of committees here at ACC and throughout the state of Texas. Currently, Renee is a member of the Texas Transfer Alliance, as well as one of the leads on our Equity Transfer Initiative grant team. And both of these projects are overlapping and intertwined with a goal to improve transfer rates and ease the transfer pathway. So I'm going to turn it over to Renee and her team, and I know they have lots of great information to share.
I was muted. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us after lunch. I hope everybody's awake and had a second cup of coffee, because I know I did. But thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. As Dr. McReynolds said, I am here to present about the transfer resources and services available at Austin Community College, so that those of you who do work at ACC know what resources are available for your students. And so just to get started and give a little bit of history for our department, the transfer has always existed at ACC. Many years ago, I actually worked in an office with Dr. McReynolds. There were the two of us in an office that was it was the Office of Articulation and Transfer Resources. And in 2017, so if you go to the next slide, you'll see that ACC created a strategic plan that had goal 3, which was helping students and getting them to completion, transition to employment, and transfer. And through that time, we kind of started to figure out there was a lot more that needed to be done at the college in terms of transfer. And there needed to be maybe a little bit more support and organization. So under the student affairs side of the house, they created the Transfer Resources Unit, and that was in 2017. And so our goal is, and I'll get into our goals in a second, but who do we serve? So the next slide, please. So we are here to help all of the ACC students and alumni that are interested in pursuing a bachelor's degree at a 4-year institution. And I do recognize that now ACC is a bachelor's degree granting institution, but we are focused more on the students that need to undergo that process of transitioning to a new university. At ACC, about 75% of first-time, full-time students indicate that they intend to transfer. But when we look at our entire population of students, which about 75% of them are enrolled part-time, 45% of them intend to transfer. And so that's almost 20,000 students. I know it says 17. I say it's about 20,000 students. Throughout the college, as I mentioned, we created this department under student affairs. But I want to give you now kind of what came out of this strategic plan. So if you move to the next slide, I'll talk about the 2 departments at ACC that have transfer in their name. But one of the things that Dr. Thomason said earlier is transfer is an institution-wide priority, and it's kind of everybody's job at the college to work on it. But I do want to highlight the Office of Articulation and University Relations, which is a department under the Teaching and Learning Excellence Division. And it's led by Dr. Mary Jane McReynolds, who introduced me today. And their work is focused on faculty, instruction, and curricular alignment. The Transfer Resources Department is housed under Student Affairs, and we focus on all of the student-facing events, support, and resources. We share a website, and if you go to the next slide, or if you look at my t-shirt, our website is austincc.edu/transfer. And this is really the hub for all transfer information for faculty, staff, and students, where you can find things like transfer guides, course equivalencies. We have information on what students should be doing every semester while they're enrolled at ACC to help set them up for a successful transfer. We have information on transfer events, transfer workshops. and then some of the events that I'll get into in a minute. If you go to the next slide, I'll mention that our goal when we created this department was really focused on 3 different things. The first thing is we really wanted students to understand the transfer process. If you attended the session this morning about the transfer landscape in Texas, one thing that was very clear is that students are navigating a process that can be very difficult and complex and potentially challenging for them. So our goal is to help students navigate that process. We also want to help students develop individual transfer planning transfer plans, right? Each individual student's process is going to be different. A student who is majoring in biology that has a family here in Austin, works full time, and is looking for online courses is not going to be the same student who took 20 hours of dual credit classes, graduated high school, came to ACC, and is ready to transfer, after completing 1 year at ACC. So every individual student will have a unique path. The other thing that we're focused on is building our relationships with universities. So I know you said, well, Mary Jane is the office, their office is the one that's working with faculty and curriculum. We work a lot with admissions departments. And one of the things that we try and highlight in all of our conversations with them is to remember transfer students when they are creating their policies. And then also when they're recruiting. We are here to assist them as they are trying to get our students prepared to transfer to their institution. So now I want to introduce our transfer team. So we are a very small team, but luckily everybody is here today except for Christine Gonzalez. Christine is our student affairs assistant who supports a lot of the work that we do. But I will let everybody else introduce themselves next. So Marisa, do you want to go first?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Marisa Rodriguez Serrano. I am the Transfer Resources Coordinator for ACC. So I coordinate a lot of the events, and you'll see me out at the events as well. So if you're ever looking for me, I do have an office at Riverside, a shared office at Riverside, a shared cubicle here at Hayes, where I'm at today. But you'll usually find me at any of the campuses any given day. So email and chat is usually the best way to get a hold of me.
And then I'll let the career and transfer specialists introduce themselves in order of the slide. So Abby, do you want to go first?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And actually, you caught me in the right time. I just healed from a cold and I have my voice back. So I'm glad to have my voice today on Monday. But my name's Abigail Garza. You can call me Abby, and I am the career and transfer specialist that serves the South Region campuses. So those campuses includes Riverside, Hayes, and South Austin. And like Marisa said, I'm at all 3 campuses. When we go back in person, right? But I do have an office space in Riverside and then a cubicle in Hayes. So that's like my physical location.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chantel Harper. I am the Career and Transfer Specialist for 3 of our North Region campuses. My home office is at the Round Rock campus, but I serve our Cypress and our San Gabriel campus.
Hello, everyone. My name is Edgar Medina, and I'm coming to you from the Highland campus. I am the Central Region Rep, Career and Transfer Specialist. The campuses include Elgin, Rio Grande, Eastview, and of course, Highland. I'm coming to you today from an undisclosed place here in the Highland at HLC. Well, we'll just call it 4000. And happy to have everyone here, and thank you for having me.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ram Vela, and I am a career and transfer specialist here at Austin Community College. Typically, you'd find me at the Northridge campus, but I also help out at the Highland campuses as well. In my spare time, I like working from my kitchen. Been working from my kitchen for the last 16 months. But yeah, looking forward to getting back to campus. Really excited to be here today.
Thank you all. As y'all can tell, this is a very cheery and happy team. And Edgar touched on something I'll talk about a little bit later in our presentation. But there is somebody else who I think may be watching on the live stream who is pictured in this photo on this slide, and that is Trish Welch. Trish is the Director of Career Resources at Austin Community College. And you're like, why is she in this picture with your team? Our team is very intertwined with career resources at the college. And that's because for a lot of students, when they are creating their career plans or their transfer plans, these are conversations that they have together. So if you notice that the 4 specialists you met are career and transfer specialists. And a little bit later, we'll talk about their role and some of the things that they do to assist our students. So next slide. So I did talk about how we're student facing, but a lot of the things that we do offer are useful for our faculty and staff. One of the things that happens pretty regularly, and we have been doing this virtually as well, is on our next slide, which are some of the advising updates and networking events. These are events that are focused on connecting our faculty and staff with the faculty and staff from some of our high rate transfer partner institutions. These events are typically, the annual ones we do are with UT, Texas State, and St. Edwards. And they focus on providing updates that are useful for when we're working with students, changes to their admissions policies, changes to degree plans. A lot of times they'll provide updates on some of the curricular alignment that they are working on with the the Office of Articulation and University Relations. Universities are also really interested in recruiting by getting us aware of their information. So one thing that was on that other slide is that universities usually have what are called counselor updates. And these are opportunities for us to go to their campus or to a restaurant where they will inform us of information that students need to know about their institution, or they will also tell us about some of the updates. And why this is important is because if you're working with a student who maybe says something like, hey, I'm really looking for an online program, you may have learned about an online program in their major at one of these university updates. So a lot of these events, we coordinate along with Dr. McReynolds, and you'll get emails from her like, hey, come to this, or she'll contact the department chair and say, please encourage your faculty to go. These sessions are really beneficial. And one thing that we have focused on is trying to get students to participate in these as a panel, right? So that we can ask them, what was it that we did at ACC, or what was it that we didn't do? What were the things that you needed additional help with? So that we as faculty and staff can learn and then better work on our services to support students. Classroom presentations. So anybody who is willing to let us into their classroom, we will come and talk about transfer. We can come and do an hour-long presentation about all of the essentials that are necessary for a successful transfer. We can tailor presentations to your class. So whether you're teaching sociology or, college algebra, we can come in and talk about whatever it is you need to do, or whatever it is the students in that class need. So please reach out to us if you have the time to let us in your classroom. That is one way that we are able to reach many students and get them information when they need it. So please, if you're interested, let us know. So now I'll talk about what are some of our student-facing events. And so if you go to the next slide, and you can actually go to the next slide. We like to connect our students with universities. And this morning in that Texas landscape presentation, they talked about the importance of connecting students to whether it's the community college advisor or an advisor at the four-year institution or an admissions representative at the four-year institution. And while the quote they used talked about, oh, I could have found all that information online, but the benefit was they connected with an individual, they got that contact information, and they really started to build that connection. And so we try to provide multiple opportunities for students to do that. These have looked a little bit different this last year that we've all been working from home. And so I'll talk about some of the things that we do. Pre-COVID, we would have transfer fairs with a very large transfer fair every fall at our Highland campus, where we would usually have about 70 to 80 universities come and set up tables. During the spring semester, we would typically do 2 smaller transfer fairs at some of our campuses in the other regions. These were opportunities for students to meet with multiple institutions and ask questions. And one of the things that we do provide to students are a list of questions that may help them engage in a better conversation versus walking up to a table and saying, oh, you have this like plush giveaway, I'm gonna take it and then like back away. We really want our students to engage and learn about the different opportunities that they have. During this last year, we have had opportunities for some virtual transfer fairs. And likely this fall, our transfer fair will be virtual as well. Pre-COVID, we would have universities at our campuses almost every day of the week, setting up a table in a high population area where students could walk up to them, get some information, make a connection. Because of COVID, what we've done is we focused on sharing all of the virtual events that recruiters have started setting up on our calendar. And I'll share that link in a second. But you know, one of the things we realize, and I think a lot of universities are realizing, is it's a lot easier to connect with students virtually. They can set up a Zoom link, have walk-in hours, and students can just pop on from the comfort of their house and ask questions. So we do advertise many of those events and have them available on our calendar. So on-campus university advising. As we know, advising with a community college advisor is very important, but students are really becoming a lot more proactive in their transfer planning. And that's something that we're really trying to communicate with students. And one way that we can support them in that is connecting them with not only admissions staff from the universities, but with academic advisors. And so this upcoming year, dependent on the COVID situation, we plan to have some in-person advising going on at our campuses. Edgar mentioned that he was in an undisclosed location, and so I will say it now. If we intend to open our first career and transfer center at the Highland campus in Building 4000 this fall. Part of that center is that there is a designated office for universities to schedule times to come in and meet with our students one-on-one. So we're still working on getting that rolling, but I think once we are back on campus and things are running a little more smooth as far as one-on-one interactions, we will be offering advising from universities. And then the last thing is we do events that are university-specific events. And these are events that are focused on bringing the academic departments to our campuses, or in this last year, online, so that students can hear from the academic departments that they're interested in. So for example, last fall, we had a virtual UT advising day where all of the academic departments, some of the student resources, and some student groups actually presented so that our students were able to learn and hear from the people who would be advising them one day. At these events, they also get some additional knowledge on what would make their application stand out, or what are like some specific requirements needed to get into their program. We advertise these and we try and make sure that we do them every year with Texas State and UT. When we were on campus, we'd also have Aggie Day at ACC with Texas A&M and Red Raider Resource Fair with Texas Tech. I do want to highlight the quote on this slide, and I kind of put this on like every presentation I do that talks about our events. This is a quote from somebody that attended one of our transfer fairs, just talking about how engaged and how interested our students are. I've had people email me after events that are like, I've been a recruiter for 17 years. Transfer fairs are always kind of quiet. Transfer students don't ask a lot of questions, but our students do. And that really does reflect the conversations that we're having and kind of embodies that vision and mission that we have at ACC of helping our students get to that next step. So next. Our next, something else I want to highlight is our transfer week. So when I worked in the office with Mary Jane, we launched our first ACC Transfer Week. And this is really just a week that focuses on creating excitement around the transfer process, right? Connecting students with universities. And we figured out that if we can market it once, like 1 week, all this stuff is happening, students really feel a sense of urgency and excitement, and we're able to just like kind of push it out on all of the ACC social media and through classes. And we like to highlight different things. So we invite universities to present. Our team presents. This fall, we're going to focus on connecting students with the existing ACC resources that lead to a strong and successful transfer. So we're going to have a presentation with Student Life, where students can develop some leadership skills. We're going to invite financial aid and the Student Money Management Office so that students can start considering what are the financial implications of planning a transfer? What do I need to be thinking about now that will lead me to a smoother transition? So please mark your calendars, and this event will be virtual the week of September 13th through 17th. I do have the website on here. It's not yet updated because we are currently working on our schedule. So next. So if you've been at ACC a while, if you have worked at ACC, you may have heard of something that was called the Transfer Academy. And I'm a little bit nervous to talk about this because we are making a huge shift this fall where we are removing the Transfer Academy name. And that doesn't mean this information and these services are going away. What it actually means is that we are kind of changing the format based on what we've learned over the last few years. So if you go to the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about what the Transfer Academy used to look like. When the Transfer Academy started about 11 years ago, it consisted of 3 sessions, and I didn't talk about one of them here. But the first one was a workshop called the Transfer Essentials Workshop. It was an hour-long presentation that talked about everything from the importance of academic and career planning all the way through post-transfer success. So that was a lot of information in 1 hour. The second part of that is something called Getting Interactive University Panels. And these were created with the intent of helping our students actively research different institutions. If you are on this presentation and you work at ACC, you know a lot of our students come to ACC and say, I'm going to go to UT, or I'm going to go to Texas State, and they don't look beyond that. So these panels were our opportunity to bring 5 to 8 university admissions representatives into a room and ask each one of them the same question. So students might start to hear different pieces of information that might help them identify what might be a better fit transfer destination for them. So if you go to the next slide, this is kind of how things are changing. What we've learned over the last few years is there's more need for targeted presentations and information for students depending on where they are in the transfer planning process. And so we have talked about breaking up the Transfer Essentials Workshop into many different presentations that we will strategically schedule throughout the semester. So we're going to keep some of those basic information sessions. You know, what are the things you could be doing now to set you up for success? What are the fundamentals of transfer planning? And we talked earlier in the Texas transfer presentation about how we communicate policy to students. So this might cover things like, what is the core? What does it actually mean? How does it apply to you? We want to talk to students about finding the right university. We have a lot of students that are open to finding just the best fit for them. And so we want to talk about the resources that are available to them to help as they explore. I mentioned UT. UT is definitely a school that we hear a lot of our students applying to, and we know it's extremely challenging to get into. UT does what's called a holistic application. And so we've created a presentation that focuses on what are the steps and opportunities and resources that students can utilize while at ACC to help them strengthen that application. Transfer guides are a very important resource available for students, but oftentimes they use vocabulary or language that might be confusing. So we've actually created presentations that talk specifically. If you have the Texas State Transfer Guide, here is exactly how to read it. Here is what's important, and here is why this is a useful tool. We've created 2 different application or essay workshops, one on what do you write about, and another one, how do you write a strong essay? And then we'll be doing presentations on the actual transfer application process. The next slide will show you that we're keeping our Getting Interactive University panels, but we are going to start doing more focused panels. So these might be things that are focused on things like BAAS options, which are transfer opportunities for students who have completed an Associate of Applied Science degree at ACC. We might have panels on programs and universities that offer fully online bachelor's degree plans. And then we might do things that are specific to majors, like a business panel or maybe a nursing panel. So that's kind of how that's shifting. I did mention that there was a third part to the Transfer Academy originally. And on that next slide, you'll see that that was a university tour. These had kind of gone away for a while, and we started them back up a few years ago. It's really exciting. And then COVID happened, so we don't quite know how those are going to resume. But what we would do for these tours is we would always pair a large public institution with a small private institution and do those two tours on the same day. We wanted students to be able to experience 2 different collegiate environments to see kind of where they felt good, where they fit in. And other things that we try to do on these tours, Marisa will make sure that we coordinate faculty, presentations, mock classes, student panels, other things than just walk around campus and point to a building, say there's engineering and there's the union. So we try and make them very engaging so that students can truly explore what it's like to be at that university. And then the next slide will tell you where you can find information about all of these events, and that is on our transfer events calendar, which is austincc.edu/transfer events. The next slide highlights 2 resources that I do want to point out. One of them is Transfer 101. This is a new Blackboard extension is what we're calling it. It's not a course, but it's kind of built like a course, but with no assignments, no tests, no quizzes. But students can sign up to add Transfer 101 to their Blackboard page. And on that page, there's a lot of transfer resources. There is information on the application process for some of our high rate transfer destinations. There's a discussion board so students can connect with other students that are potentially, planning to apply to the same university as them. We also utilize the calendar to put reminders about upcoming transfer application deadlines. And then we send out announcements pretty much weekly with what's going on. Our transfer research worksheet is a Google document that we have created that can help guide students as they research different institutions. Or even if they're just looking at one institution, it's a place that lists a bunch of questions. What's the tuition? When is the deadline? What is the GPA I need to get in? And a student can keep track of all that information on one sheet. These 2 resources are available on our website, which is, of course, austincc.edu/transfer. So I've talked a lot about our events, but the premier resource that we have developed through the creation of the Transfer Resources Department are really our career and transfer specialists. So this is a brand new position to the college. Chantel was actually our first career and transfer specialist that we hired. And when this department was created along with the career resources department, they said, what do you all need? And we said, we need people that can work individually with students while they are exploring and researching career opportunities, career fields, transfer destinations. And they said, well, we have academic advisors, and we do recognize it. This work supplements what our academic advisors do. So they are not going to help students understand prerequisites or look at TSI scores. But what they will do is sit with a student as they are filling out their transfer application and they don't know how to answer something on the Applied Texas application. They will work with a student who says, I need a degree that meets these criteria. Help me find the right program for me. And then probably one thing that I think our team is possibly looking forward to next month is they also do a lot of essay reviews. So when students are applying to the universities and have to write essays, we will sit one-on-one with them to help them make sure that they are addressing the prompt fully and writing something that will really help them stand out. Students can request an appointment with our team who, as you saw, it's 4 specialists that serve our district. They are mobile when we're on campus, but also meet with students virtually. And this is kind of the last thing I wanted to talk about, but I did want to give an opportunity to our specialists if there was anything that you wanted to talk about that you're seeing student needs. Like, what are the things that students come to you for? How do you help? Anyone want to go first? Abby, unmuted.
Oh, sorry, Ram.
Ladies first.
You probably have some more insightful things to say, but I do want to say that like we meet students from the whole spectrum of transfer planning. From I know where I want to go, I just need help, figuring out a couple things, or I'm about to submit my application, like I'm right there, like I just need someone to review this to see if it's correct. To we get those students where like I've been at ACC for a while, I've just been taking classes, help me figure out what to do next, right? So we see students from all over the spectrum. And we really are the forward-facing part of the team, I should say, like where we meet one-on-one with them. We will sit down with them for an hour, and we will go through a lot of the information, if not all the process with them at that moment. We also will follow up with them as well, because they just need that support. And I think that's ultimately what I'm trying to say is that these students, like they know what they're aspiring to be and to do. They just need that support alongside with it.
I'll add to that. A lot of times students just need somebody to say, yes, that is right. Yes, that is what you're supposed to do. Yes, the website is correct. Yes, the deadline is actually October 1st. Anybody else want to add to that, Ram?
Yeah, I was about to. Oh,
I'm sorry,
stop talking.
Sorry, before Ram answers, we've had a question. And so maybe Ram can answer this. Do these career and transfer specialists have an area of study focus when they're helping students?
No, I was like, I don't know. I was like, not necessarily in a specific area of study. We're definitely kind of going back to what like Renee and Abby were saying early on, just like in terms of validation and validating that particular experience and empowering that particular student who is uncertain at that time. But to answer your question, Ms. Mary Jane, or to answer that particular question, we don't have a specific area of study. It's kind of a broad spectrum. It's all over the place. We meet with students who are majoring from everything from like, pursuing education, computer science, engineering, business, you name it. But just to kind of touch back on like some of the issues and concerns they may have, this goes back to like, application assistance. Some students do not know how to navigate that particular website and they do need additional assistance with that, additional help. And that's where I think meeting with the career and transfer specialist is very beneficial because we can go over it together. They can share their particular screen, a screenshot of a particular question that they're just like, what does this question mean? I do not get it. And how can I answer that particular question? Very beneficial. Another question that I've been getting a lot as of late, like, hey, how many of my credits are transferable to a specific university or degree plan? Like I have like 90 plus credits, like, are they all transferable? That's definitely a common question. But yeah, aside from that, just getting general validation and, additional assistance from career and transfer specialists. I think the one-on-one assistance really comes with lots of benefits.
If I may piggyback or sort of also answer the question that was asked about area study. This is Edgar Medina talking. I hope you can hear me without my microphone. That's more of a yes and no response. I have a yes and no response, being that we're at certain campuses. we tend to get referred certain people from certain areas. For example, I get a lot of IT transfer people and a lot of business transfer people, being that I'm from Highlands. So having that experience or keying in on those departments from different universities helps me relay information that might be helpful. What I wanted to also add is that from this morning, I heard the research study being done at UT about people that are transferring that are thinking procedurally and other people thinking strategically. I think that most of us here are strategic thinkers. And if a person is asking us for logistical or sort of bouncing ideas off of us and even just verifying procedures, I think we're very helpful, but I think we're also empowering students to think strategically when they transfer. So we do have a lot of students that are coming to us early, which I would encourage, whether they're from high school or first semester, so that they can plan it out depending on which university they want to transfer to. Sometimes you have to just not think the minimum threshold. You have to actually think more competitive. You have to plan for more higher success goals and things like that. So I think we're also encouraging students to look at that. And I think my branding per se is reach for the stars, where students may be complacent maybe, or not thinking they have potential or value when they want to go to a university, but encourage them to also pursue those universities that they didn't think of is also strategic for us as well. I'm from out of state. I've attended universities. I've had out of Texas, and happy to say that I have 3 children that are young adults now that are attended in-state schools as well. So I have, I guess that kind of view from participating with them in those schools. But that's sort of like not a lot of insight, but it's like a what do your parents think kind of would be thinking. So I also offer that as well. Keep your parents involved, sort of. So I think we have multi-generational transfer conversations with students. And I think that's what we have to offer, as well as we do have different backgrounds. I just got a message from one of the advisors that wanted to ask me to help them research. And that's another invaluable tool. I know they know how to research academically, but how do you research to find things? And what math class should that person take for business at the University of Southern California? Well, I didn't go to Southern California, I went to the other school, Berkeley, but my point is helping them, teaching them how to research, especially think outside the Texas box kind of thing, is something that we encourage as well. So researching assistance and empowerment is also, I think, an important skill for our service.
And Chantel, I wanted to give you the opportunity. I don't want to put you on the spot if you want to share.
But just to clarify, like we were saying earlier, we're not specific to area of studies because once again, we do a broad spectrum. What we do assist students, and what I really reiterate with students is how important it is to meet with their area study advisor when they're planning their courses, because we do review the transfer guide with them, looking at the core curriculum and helping them understand that transfer guide. But having that transfer conversation with their AOS advisor is really vital in helping them plan successfully, prepare successfully for that transfer. Why? Because they want to make sure they're taking the courses that not only fit to the ACC's degree, but also aligning them with what that curriculum might look like for them transferring and moving forward. So it's really important when I'm talking with my students and they get tired of hearing it, is that you need to make sure you meet with your AOS advisor to make sure you're planning your courses accordingly each semester. So that is one thing that we do stress. So yes, we do specifically talk to our students and review that transfer guide. And that's why it's really important that we have those relationships with those universities and have those articulation agreements in this course alignment, because that really helps students save time and money when they're looking at that transfer process. So that's my input.
And I love that you said that, Chantel, because I always, when I present, I always say this will save you time and money and stress, right? We want to make sure that the transfer pathway is very smooth for our students. And as you'll hear probably throughout this week with all of these wonderful presenters that TLED got, there's a lot of obstacles in the way, right? The transfer pathway nationwide and across Texas is still being worked on, but we need to make sure that we are supporting students that are currently in the pipeline so that they can understand and so that they can be successful. I did also want to point out, we have 4 specialists. They aren't assigned to area of studies, they're assigned to regions. And when we created this position, first with just Chantel, and then we got a second specialist, we created this online Google form that you can find at austincc.edu/transfer appointments, well, abbreviated appointments, the link on the screen. We didn't do much advertising. And that first summer, we opened it in summer, we had about 120 appointment requests. The next academic year, so I know these are 2 very different timeframes, we had 1,700 appointment requests. This year, we've already reached about 3,300 appointment requests. And like I said, oftentimes it's students that are just like, I just need someone to walk me through this process or to help me explore. So if you have students that need help, if you don't know where to turn, you can direct them to us. If we aren't the right team, we will do a handoff to make sure that they are with the correct ACC department. So the next slide just says how you can connect with us. We are on social media. We're at ACC Transfer on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And if anybody else has questions, please feel free to email me. My information is on the next slide. Or connect with any of the specialists.
And we do, Renee, have a couple of questions and comments in the chat box, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And I can, first of all, with this transition from the Transfer Academy to the Transfer Essential Series, will those different sessions in the series be recorded and available on the website or on demand? How will that be handled virtually?
Yes, so we have tried to record every session that we've done in the past. Mind you, we're still working on some of these presentations for the fall. We have a very busy August ahead of us, but we will have them all recorded. They are also always posted on that Transfer 101 page, but then students can also access them through BitGrid, and we can get anybody the link to them. One of the things that we did this last year with classroom presentations also, since things were virtual and looked a little different, was we can also provide you with recordings of those sessions that you can share with your students.
Okay, and here's another question that's also related to the area of study focus. Will any of those sessions that you're planning with the new series or the sessions you currently have, do they focus on area of study in any way? And a follow-up to that is, how do you work with faculty to share this information with students?
So the workshops will not be area of study specific. The panels, we will do some area of study specific. And then we just email everybody we can. We also utilize Courtney with the TLED newsletter to try and get information out. Marisa, are there any other ways that we advertise those events? I know we also go through student groups.
I think you hit the main ones. Sometimes we may connect with departments specifically, like the dean of that department. If it's like the BAS panel we had, we connected with the AAS degree deans to get that information out. So sometimes I'll reach out to program specific.
Okay, and do you envision that as we go forward with this new configuration of the Transfer Essential Series, that you would have work with faculty in other ways to help faculty better guide the students in the transfer process?
Faculty are welcome to come to any session that we have, and we are open to presenting to faculty at any opportunity. However faculty wants to work with us, we will work with them. We recognize that faculty are oftentimes the individuals that our students connect with and see the most, right? We know that 75 to 80% of our students are part-time. They work, they have families. They log into Zoom or come to campus, go to their class, turn around and leave, right? They don't have time for a lot of other things. So if we can help faculty understand this process better or do anything within the classroom, we will be there.
Great, thank you so much. And it is an institution-wide initiative that everybody helped with the transfer process. And so it sounds like you guys are really approaching it holistically from that perspective. And I thank you for that. It's a long way from an office of 3, isn't it, Renee?
It really is. And it definitely shows institutional support. I know that later this afternoon, I believe there's going to be a presentation on some of the transfer data and information on how our students are transferring. I think it's tied around equity. But when we focus as an institution on really looking at what's helping our students be successful, it's come back to us. Hey, these are the areas that we need to help. And if our mission is really to help students get to that next step, I envision that these are going to be areas of support that grow.
We've had a comment from Susan Miggs from the Learning Lab that she would like to for sure link to the transfer resources information and be able to help her students in the Learning Lab. Is that something that you're open to, I hope?
Yes, and I also would like to give kudos to Susan because she is the one who gave us a training on her excellent transfer essay skills. We do refer students to the Learning Lab as well. We always tell students we are not the grammar experts. Sometimes I think I am, and then I see typos in all my emails. But we talk a lot about content, but we recognize that the Learning Lab are also people that can help review student essays for clarity and grammar errors. But yeah, Susan actually is part of the reason why we've worked on expanding these essay workshops. Great.
Well, no additional questions have come in on the chat box as of now. Do you want to put up the slide again with your contact information or just repeat that information for everyone who might want to ask more questions in the future?
Sure, if you don't mind putting up the slide, Stephen, but my email address is tesparza@austincc.edu. And as a final reminder, anytime you talk to a student and they say, yes, I want to transfer, but not yet, please remind them it's never too early to start planning because the actions they take now will impact their course selection and their transfer planning process. So thank you all.
Thank you. Thanks to everyone on the team for being able to share this incredible institutional effort that we have to help our transfer students be successful. I'll say this several times this week. I was a transfer student, and that's why I feel so passionately about the work that we're doing for our students. And this is just tremendous efforts and successes that our transfer resources team has had. We'll end this session, and we're going to have another session starting at 2:00 on an online advising tool. So please come back and learn about Map My Path. Thank you.